All right, let's dive into the work of Albert Camus. He's a thinker who looked right into the heart of a universe that seemed to have no meaning, and then he dared to ask the really tough question, so how are we supposed to live? He wrestled with meaning, with justice, and with rebellion in a way that, you'll see, feels more relevant than ever today. So Camus doesn't ease us in with some gentle warm-up. Nope, he starts right here with what he calls the one truly serious philosophical problem. He's basically grabbing us and asking, is this life actually worth living? For him, this isn't some academic exercise. It's the most urgent question there is. It's literally a matter of life and death, and it sets the stage for everything that follows. And this is the voice that kind of embodies that whole crisis. It's Meursault, the main character from Camus's novel, The Stranger. This guy is just adrift. He seems totally detached from his own life, from his own emotions. I mean, that opening line about his mother's death, it's not really about him being cruel. It's a symptom of a much, much bigger feeling. This sense that the entire universe is profoundly, maybe even terrifyingly indifferent to us. And that feeling right there, that sensation of being an outsider, a stranger, even in your own life, that's the real starting point for all of Camus' philosophy. He didn't see it as some kind of personal flaw. He saw it as a fundamental part of what it means to be human in the modern world. And he really wanted to diagnose it, and this is his diagnosis. He calls it the absurd. Now, we have to be really clear about this. For Camus, the world itself isn't absurd. And, our human need for answers and meaning isn't absurd either. The absurd is the clash. It's that gap, that unresolvable tension that's born when our desperate call for meaning meets the cold, silent, unreasonable universe. Yeah, and it's so important to get this right. The absurd is not nihilism. It's not about giving up and saying nothing matters. Actually, it's the opposite. It's a state of really intense, lucid, honest awareness. It's not the conclusion or the final answer. For Camus, recognizing the absurd is just the beginning. It's the starting point. Meursault, at the very end of his story, he finally gets here. He's condemned to die, and he just stops fighting it. He stops hoping for some grand meaning that he knows isn't coming. And by opening himself up to what he calls the gentle indifference of the world, he finds this weird kind of freedom. This isn't him losing. For Camus, accepting this reality is the very first authentic step you can take. Okay, so the diagnosis is in. We live in an absurd world. But now what? What's the prescription? What are we supposed to do once we've woken up to this condition? Camus immediately looks at the two most tempting escape routes from this really uncomfortable truth. If the game is ultimately meaningless, why even keep playing? Or, hey, if our own reason led us to this painful place, why not just ditch reason entirely and take comfort in some kind of faith? Well, Camus says both of these are just evasions. They're both a form of giving up. Physical suicide, well, that just destroys one half of the conflict, you. What he calls philosophical suicide, taking a leap of faith, that destroys the other half, the clear-eyed, rational mind that saw the problem in the first place. For Camus, the whole point, the real challenge, isn't to escape the absurd. It's to live with it, to hold both sides of that tension and be in a constant state of revolt against it. And this, right here, this is what leads us to Camus's really powerful, life-affirming answer. If we can't escape the absurd, we have to confront it. We have to live in a state of permanent rebellion. Okay, let's just pause on this for a second, because this sentence is huge. It's a direct response to Descartes' I think, therefore I am. For Camus, our existence isn't confirmed by just thinking quietly by ourselves. No, it's confirmed in the act of rebellion, an act that immediately connects us to other people and creates a shared human value. This is the magic of rebellion for Camus. It starts with one person saying, okay, this far and no further. But that no automatically implies a yes. It affirms that there's a line, a value, a human dignity that shouldn't be crossed. And in that moment, the rebel realizes that this dignity doesn't just apply to them. It must apply to everyone. And just like that, the rebellion moves from I to we, forging solidarity out of a shared struggle. So rebellion then, this is the ethical heart of his whole philosophy. It's how we create our own value in the world that doesn't hand it to us on a platter. It demands that we stay awake, that we constantly confront our condition, and that we live a life of passion, of freedom, and of commitment to justice for others. Okay, but what does this actually look like in the real world, right? Well, Camus gives us maybe one of the most powerful stories for this whole idea in his masterpiece, The Plague. See, the plague in the story, it's not a punishment from God. It's not some grand moral lesson. It's just a random, senseless disaster. It's the absurd made real. It isolates everyone, it cuts them off from love, from the future, and it forces them to stare death in the face every single day. The entire city of Iran becomes this kind of laboratory for how humans respond to the absurd. And the heroes of this story, the people leading the rebellion, they aren't your typical action heroes with some grand ideology. No, it's carried out by ordinary people. There's a doctor who just does his job, because that's what doctors do. There's a visitor who organizes volunteers simply to, quote, side with the victims. A quiet clerk who does the boring, thankless, but absolutely essential work. Their rebellion is modest, it's practical, and it's all rooted in a simple, shared sense of human decency. This is the voice of Dr. Ryu, and it's really the moral center of the whole book. The choice, he says, is simple. You can either side with the pestilence, with death, injustice, and all that, or you can side with the victims. The rebellion here isn't about winning, not really. It's about the fight itself. It's everyone's business. And this brings us to the final, and probably the most famous, image in all of Camus's writing. It's the perfect symbol for his entire philosophy of life. Meet Sisyphus. He is the ultimate absurd hero. His punishment is defined by one thing. It's completely pointless. His job is meaningless, it's repetitive, and there is zero hope of ever succeeding. It's a perfect metaphor for the human condition, at least as Camus sees it. Now for Camus, the most important part of this whole myth isn't the sweaty struggle up the mountain. It's the pause. It's that moment when Sisyphus watches the rock roll away, and he has to walk back down the hill, all alone, to start over. In that moment, he is completely, totally conscious of his pointless fate. And it's that clear-eyed awareness, Camus says, that makes him superior to his punishment. It makes him superior to his rock. And this is the breathtaking conclusion. Sisyphus is happy. Not because he's tricked himself into thinking he'll win someday. No. He's happy because he scorns the gods who punished him, and he passionately embraces his fate. That rock, that's his thing. His meaning isn't waiting for him at the top of the mountain. It's found in the struggle itself. His happiness is his rebellion. So in the end, Camus turns the whole thing back on us. He's shown us the path. You recognize the absurd, you reject the easy answers, and you embrace the struggle. He asks us to find our own rock, that burden, that task, that fight that belongs to us. And the final challenge isn't just to push it, but to find our freedom, our rebellion, and maybe even our happiness in the struggle itself. So, what's your rock?